What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much to all the new subscribers. Today we are here for an epic book haul. It's going to be a long one. Got about almost 50 books we got to get through. So I'm going to start this video by talking a little bit about the books that I've finished. We'll just do a little quick recap / review of them. Oh, my cat wants to get out. Do a little quick review of the books we've already read, and then we're going to talk about the books that I'm currently reading, in the process of reading, and then we will talk about the books that I've sort of gathered in my collection recently that have not yet been read. Something just seems crooked here. I don't know what it is, but we'll just kind of stick with that. You guys like my new Beauty and the Beast shirt. So make sure you guys grab some coffee, some tea, maybe a little snack. Maybe you got your vape with you, hopefully. So let's get this video started here. Let's start with this stack right here. I'm just going to quickly mention Henry Miller, Tropic of Cancer. You guys can go check out the review I did of that. I pretty much got all the way to the end. I had about 2 or 3 chapters left, but I just didn't finish it. It was just the same thing over and over, and it just didn't resonate with me. But I'm keeping the book. It's a really nice copy, and I plan on reading some more Henry Miller someday, at some point, just don't know when. But yeah, second book I finished recently was Charlotte Bronte by Jane Eyre, or Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. What the heck is wrong with me? So yeah, this book was a little bit of a struggle for me. It took me almost 2 years to really complete it. I picked it back up maybe halfway through it, and I did enjoy it, but it was a little bit of a chore, honestly. Charlotte Bronte is a great writer. It's really a quite beautiful story, but I think it's hard for us to appreciate because, you know, it's such an old book. It comes from 1830 or 1850 or something, and it's very, it's very heavily reliant on the subject matter of the time. But I think it's an important book. You'll learn a lot about what it was like to be a woman, what it was like to be a man, what marriage was like back then. It's really quite a compelling story of, Jane and Rochester. Really beautiful descriptions of the English countryside. It just has a very sort of slowly, unveiling sort of manner that it's written. It takes a long time for Charlotte Bronte to really tell the story. It's not one of my favorite books, but I'm definitely going to keep it in my collection, and I might explore it again someday. Like I said, very important book, but just a little bit of a struggle. Second book I finished recently, maybe about a month or 2 ago. I did a review of this. You guys can check this out. Also, the most recent video, Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. Not going to recap it again, but that's one of the ones we finished recently. Also, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. I got through this over the last 5 or 6 months probably. Started reading this over the summer. This is like my 4th or 5th time reading this. I used to read this quite a bit when I was younger. One of my favorite books. We'll possibly do a review on that. If you want to learn about the Native American, government relations in the late 1800s, and also learn a lot about Native American history, United States, Indian Wars, excellent place to start with that. What else? Okay, so now we're going to jump to the books that I'm currently in the process of reading. I just wanted to show you guys this Bible that I started to pick up. I ordered this on Amazon. I didn't realize it was made in China when I bought it, but nonetheless, it's really quite beautiful. It's got this little cover sleeve here. And I would say biblical history is definitely a gap in my education, so I really want to get a little bit better versed in the Bible. As some of you guys know, I'm an Orthodox Christian. I don't consider myself an extremist by any means. I want you guys to be able to see my haircut, so let's see if we can get this camera shot up a little bit. But yeah, I feel like the Bible is, it should be part of everybody's education to a certain degree. And this is not going up any farther. Went up a little bit. That'll have to do for now. Sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. I've been struggling trying to film videos this entire day. this entire day. So like I said, beautiful edition, King James Version. I'm currently reading the New Testament. I'm in the middle of Corinthians, and I read Romans. My brother told me to kind of start with the New Testament, at least start with that part. But I do plan to explore the rest of it. I think it's an important thing to read the Bible. You don't have to take it all literally, obviously, but this is a beautiful edition. It's large print, not super large print, but not real tiny like a lot of Bibles are. So what else am I in the process of reading? I ordered this on Amazon, Autobiography of Joey Kramer from Aerosmith. I'm not a real big fan of Steven Tyler. He's a bit of a weirdo. I mean, they're all kind of weird, but I just like reading a good story. I like hearing somebody be vulnerable about themselves. Joey Kramer's got a pretty interesting story to tell. You know, he suffered from abuse from his father. Was obviously an addict. I've always loved Aerosmith as far as their music. I sort of drifted away from the whole rock star fantasies type thing, but this one's a little more down to earth. And I'm definitely interested in hearing about, you know, his tense relationship with Steven Tyler. Super cool book. Nikki Sixx wrote the introduction, so that's kind of like my bedside reading, a little bit of entertainment before I go to bed. I did want to just mention this. I'm reading Santeria, the Religion. I'm not reading this on a regular basis, but I am supplementing my novel with some research because some of you guys know that my mother was a Santeria priestess. So I kind of refer to this just to try to get some of my facts straight when I'm trying to recreate scenes. This is a beautiful book, brand new. I forgot where I bought this, used bookstore or something. But it's always good to have something like that to sort of inspire you or just to refer to, just so you kind of get the facts right if you're writing about, you know, a foreign religion or you're writing about anything. It's good to have some references there. Next book I'm in the process of reading. I started this maybe about maybe a week, or I started this on Halloween night actually, I think. Marcel Proust, In Search of Lost Time. And I'm going to show you guys the rest of them. This is part 1 in like a 7 or 6 saga series. Marcel Proust was kind of like a Thomas Wolfe type, just wrote a lot. It's kind of hard to see here in the reflection. But this is a beautiful edition that comes in a huge hardcover like jacket. I'll show it to you guys in a second. But I just want to show you guys the beauty of this book. The spine does not bend at all. It's super awesome because they left plenty of room in between the margins there, so you don't have to bend the side of the book. The print is beautiful. It smells beautiful. I've been doing some small annotations. I'll show you guys the rest of this here. Look at this. Amazing. So Proust is notorious for being a difficult writer. Surprisingly, I haven't found Proust to be all that difficult. He's actually quite easy to read. His novels are translated from French, so make of that what you will. There's a little bit of a degradation in the language, I suppose. But this is a beautiful edition. Didn't really cost that much. It was only maybe like less than 30 bucks on Amazon, but it's amazing. I'm not going to show you all of them. This is just kind of what some of them look like. They're just gorgeous. Maybe I'll show you one more here. And Marcel Proust is fairly autobiographical. He's writing about his life experience. And he writes a lot about time and memory and relationships and all the good stuff that I'm into. I definitely see a Thomas Wolfe, or I definitely see a Proust influence in Thomas Wolfe. Marcel Proust was a French writer. So this is volume 1, Swan's Way. Really beautiful so far. So I will definitely keep you guys up to date on that. Just real quick, I'm going to show you some more entertainment-based books I picked up at the used bookstore. James Cameron's Titanic. This is a beautiful hardcover edition, actually. Sort of documents the history of the making of the film and also the history of Titanic. Talks a lot about, you know, James Cameron's sort of endeavors in making the movie. Super cool. It's got, you know, beautiful pictures of Rose in here. You know, if you can get that glare off of there, what's not to love about that? So I'm definitely looking forward to exploring this. It smells really good. It's like brand new. It's obviously not brand new because this was published, you know, over 20 years ago almost now. But I used to have this book when I was little. I think my brother and I had a soft cover edition. And I went through this phase in high school where I started making a lot of collages. And I was an idiot, and I took the book and cut it up and made collages out of it for some stupid reason. But anyway, I picked this up also. Titanic poster book, unopened. You guys can still see the cellophane on here. So I'm going to talk more about these books and a couple other Titanic related things in a video coming soon with a very special guest. So I hope you guys will be excited and stay tuned for that. Not going to say what that's all about, but you guys will find out very soon. Super awesome collector's items. So very excited to explore those. We're going to do an unboxing with a special guest here on YouTube. So let's get into the first stack of books that I've acquired recently. Okay, so we got Sons and Lovers by D.H. Lawrence. I read this back in high school, I think. And I had another copy that I bought recently from a used bookstore, but it was like, had cigarette must all over, like somebody was smoking and blowing it all over their books. It just smelled musty, but I found a brand new, beautiful copy, Barnes & Noble's copy. D.H. Lawrence, I think he's like an English writer, maybe Irish, could be wrong. Pretty sure he's English, but I remember this novel being pretty darn good, so I wanted to get him back in my collection. D.H. Lawrence, that's a painting by Van Gogh, actually. Super cool, super excited. I'm going to try to keep these in somewhat of an order here so I can put them back. Another brand new book I acquired was James Baldwin's Giovanni's Room. Haven't read this yet. This will be like, I think I might tackle this next as far as James Baldwin goes. I actually have another one. I forgot the name of the novel, but like I said, I read Fire Next Time, but I'm looking to get more of a literary novel experience out of James Baldwin. So this is supposed to be real good as far as that goes. So we'll check up on that later. Another great book I picked up today was Booker T. Washington, The Story of the Negro, The Rise of the Race from Slavery. And as you guys can see, I'm trying to expound my literary palette. I'm trying to expand my knowledge of history, featuring writings and authors from all different groups. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting into this, learning a little bit about the history of America. This might be a little bit dated, but it comes from an African American perspective, so that seems like a really good place to start. Another great book I picked up was the Virginia Woolf Reader. This is like an introduction to Virginia Woolf. Beautiful copy, large print, as you can see there. No bends in the spine, just a great picture of her. Never read Virginia Woolf, but her name keeps coming up over and over again in a lot of literature videos on YouTube. So I thought, heck, why not give her a shot? Trying to expand with some women authors as well. So here we have Henry David Thoreau. We have sort of a collection here of My Walden, Civil Disobedience, and other writings. I read a little bit of My Walden a couple years ago. Never really finished it, but I'm real excited to have this copy back in my collection. It's not really the most exciting cover. It's kind of monotone and kind of just not very colorful, but it's to the point. Really beautiful large print. So I'm looking forward to that. Henry David Thoreau, if you guys aren't familiar with him, he was sort of like a modern day, or sort of an old-fashioned equivalent of maybe a conservationalist Democrat, I guess you could say. If that's fair to say. He was all about nature, getting away from the drudges of mainstream society and stuff. So that should be very interesting. Trying to keep these in some kind of order here. Let me put the Virginia Woolf one back on here. That should be good. So let's move on to another stack here. Let's move on to this little small one here. So we got probably one of the biggest novels that's ever been written, War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. This is a beautiful edition. Just look at that. It's got the old school proliferated kind of page binding there. There's a little bit of paper follicles falling off of that. Beautiful edition. The spine is intact. It smells amazing. I don't know when I'm going to be able to tackle War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, but it's something I think I wanted to have in my collection. I've read a lot of reviews on Leo Tolstoy. Robert Greene is a fan of Leo Tolstoy. So it's supposed to be one of the best novels ever written, so let's see if that's true. Maybe we'll do a book review of War and Peace someday. Another book I picked up was Pulp by Charles Bukowski. This was Charles Bukowski's last novel. I'm not 100% sure if some of it was, published posthumously after he died. But this was a little bit of different for Bukowski because it wasn't strictly, autobiographical. Is a little more fictional, I guess, in terms of what I've read about it. But yeah, this fits nicely into the Charles Bukowski collection that I have. They're all pretty much the same size. They all come from the same publisher, usually Black Sparrow Press, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm super excited to have some more Bukowski. I haven't read Bukowski recently, but we'll probably get back into him. Another awesome book I picked up, and this contributes to my research papers that I'm working on right now, is The Life of Tintoretto. This is a beautiful hardcover edition. It's kind of a rare book, so I'm glad to have this. There's a little bit of some molding on the top there, on the pages, but it's got a beautiful drawing on the cover, some drawings inside, beautiful little red hardcover layout. I want to encourage you guys to try to find hardcover books when you can. It's really great to have soft covers that you can, bring out and about and give to friends. But there's nothing like collecting really beautiful hardcover editions. I think that's really where it's at. I'm trying to find some illustrations in here for you guys. It's got a little biography of his daughter in here too, which is quite cool. So I'm writing a research paper on one of Tintoretto's paintings. So I'll keep you guys up to date on all that stuff. That should be fun. Let's move to another stack here. I got two really beautiful hardcovers here. First one is Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. I read this back in high school, so I wanted to get another copy of this, and I was blessed to find this beautiful hardcover edition. I don't have the original cover. It might have came in a series without covers, but it's got these beautiful illustrations in here. Just look at that. Fantastic. Thomas Hardy is an English writer, writes about women a lot, which is kind of interesting. Just amazing illustrations. Like this one just spoke to me, and I was like, I gotta have this. It's in beautiful condition. It's like I said, something like this could be worth something someday, or it's just a beautiful thing just to have in your collection or to give as a gift. Amazing. Another beautiful hardcover we got was a Leonardo da Vinci book by Walter Isaacson. I'm not familiar with his scholarship, but I'm very excited to explore this. I've read several books on Da Vinci, but I thought, why not get another one? And you can get these books for relatively cheap, and they're like brand new practically. Beautiful illustrations in here. See if we can find one or two. Just great stuff. I can't wait to kind of start studying this a little bit. And this is something I can carry with me through the rest of college and also maybe into graduate school someday. It's just good to have some things on hand so you don't always have to rely on the library. I should probably really slow down on all this book stuff because I'm accumulating a lot of books. That's one of my new passions. What can I say? So let's drift to Thomas Wolfe here for a second. I'm a little bit perturbed about this. This is The Web in the Rock. I'm not perturbed about the book itself, but I'm perturbed about the physical condition of it. I bought this from a used website called usedbooks.com or something. Pretty cool website. I got this for like $4 or $5, but this was not the edition or the cover design or anything that was advertised to me. This is quite musty. It's quite beat up. But for some reason, The Web in the Rock is really, really hard to find. I don't know why. All other Thomas Wolfe novels have been reprinted. They're still in print in these beautiful paperback or hardcover editions. For some reason, you can't find The Web in the Rock anywhere, so I'm kind of lucky to have this. This could be worth something someday. It's not going to be the most pleasant reading experience because it is rather musty. You can see it's, very, very discolored, but hey, it's The Web in the Rock by Thomas Wolfe, so I'm happy to have it. I'm not sure when I'm going to read it, but this is the only one of his major novels that I haven't yet read. He's got a lot of small novels as well. So let's move on here. Romeo and Juliet, got this beautiful, real tiny paperback, brand new on Amazon for like $7 or something. We had to read this back in high school. At first I thought it was kind of boring, but even back then I kind of got latched onto the story. I was kind of fascinated with the language, the love story. the politics. So I'm very excited to have some Shakespeare in my collection. I actually have another Shakespeare book that we're going to cover in a minute here. So we'll get to that in a minute. Up next, we have Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter. Not very familiar with this book or this author, but his name comes up quite a bit. It's supposed to be a great novel. This is a beautiful edition. Just absolutely gorgeous. I think I bought this at the used bookstore. Maybe it was Amazon. I don't remember. Signature Classics edition. Amazing. So hopefully this video will also inspire you guys to start curating your own book collection. That's kind of what I want to inspire you guys to do. Up next, some of you guys might remember this if you're from the 60s or the 70s. Johnny Got His Gun by Dalton Trumbo. I used to have a real ratty first edition paperback of this. I was reading this back in high school. Quite a shocking novel. Metallica wrote some songs based on this novel. But this is a beautiful repressing. Quite recent. Brand new. Just gorgeous pages. Large print. Dalton Trumbo, Johnny Got His Gun. I'm not sure when I'm going to read it, but definitely looking forward to exploring that again. So let's move on to this other little stack here. We have here the first Mozart biography that was ever written by an American scholar. So this is pretty awesome, guys. I'm very excited about this. I really enjoy Maynard Solomon. He's another classical music scholar. He writes books about Beethoven and Mozart. But I'm definitely very intrigued. This is just such a beautiful book in itself. And then when I opened it, there's actually some old notes and annotations from the previous owner. And this was published in 1932. This version itself, it looks a lot more recent. Maybe it's like a newer edition, but it's in beautiful condition. It's just so beautiful. I'm so happy to have this. Haven't read this yet, but I'm a huge fan of Mozart. I'm really interested in his life. And as you can see, it's just another beautiful hardcover. And that's why you should collect hardcovers, guys, because you guys can display these on your shelf. You can display them, you can talk about them. You can take the covers off. I like leaving the covers on for the most part. So yeah, I'll keep you guys posted on that. Up next, we have The Broken Wings by Khalil Gibran. He was big back in the 60s and the 70s, I believe. He was kind of like a surrealist, abstract author, I guess you could say. Some of his stuff is based on mythology and religion, but this is a beautiful edition. It's a little bit musty, it's a little bit old, but something about it just spoke to me. I looked him up on the internet. He seems like he's got a good reputation. So if we have any Khalil Gibran fans out there, let us know. It's got some, I thought it had some illustrations in here, maybe not, but it just has this beautiful calligraphy at the beginning of the chapters. The print is really beautiful, really large. So yeah, not familiar with him, but I'm definitely looking forward to exploring this. And again, we have another old hardcover, and this is why you should look for things like this. Even if they're a little bit beat up, even if they're a little bit worn, it's good to have some stuff like this in your collection. You don't want to have all paperbacks or all hardcovers. You want to have a nice little collection of each. So up next, we have this beautiful Harvard Classics Collector's Edition of Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe, which I certainly hope I'm a relative of. My mother always told me, we could be relatives of Christopher Marlowe. Who knows? I think it's possibly true. I'm not sure why it's got some beautiful illustrations in here as well. They only gave Christopher Marlowe one play in here. So the first part of the book is Christopher Marlowe, and then the rest of it is just Shakespeare. Romeo and Juliet is not in here, so that's why I got that other copy. But this is a beautiful copy of Shakespeare's plays. Super awesome, super excited to really digest Shakespeare someday. He's kind of a gap in my education as well, so I'm looking forward to experiencing Shakespeare. So we got another stack of 3 books here, and then we're going to kind of hit to the home base and get this video done with. Last of the Mohicans by James Fenimore Cooper. I did try to sludge through this book when I was younger, back in elementary school. It was just kind of high reading level for my reading level at the time. But I love the movie, and I'm really interested in exploring the novel by James Fenimore Cooper. I really like that cover. That's so cool. This book has some annotations in it from a previous owner, which is kind of cool. Somebody named Kaufman must have owned it. That's pretty cool. It's a little bit musty, a little bit worn, but it's still acceptable, and I'm excited to have that in my collection. So this one, I'm actually really excited about this. Among Grizzlies by Timothy Treadwell. This is so awesome. I hope to maybe read this in the summer. It seems like something cool that you could read in the summer. If you guys don't know about Timothy Treadwell, Werner Herzog made a documentary called Grizzly Man about Timothy Treadwell, and the documentary will absolutely change your life. I don't want to tell you too much about the Timothy Treadwell story because it's quite profound and it's quite tragic. But what an amazing fucking guy, man. Like, this guy inspires me. Like, the guy was completely batshit crazy, but such a passionate person. And, you know, I would have loved to hang out with somebody like Timothy Treadwell. Anyway, yeah, I get a little emotional when I talk about Timothy Treadwell. There's just something about him that resonates with me on some level. Even though our passions are completely different, make sure you guys look up Timothy Treadwell. Watch Werner Herzog, Grizzly Man. So up next we have Hermann Hesse, Steppenwolf. Not real familiar with him. Looks like kind of a quirky kind of guy. Existentialist writer from like the early 1900s. Born in 1877, but I've heard really good things about him. I believe he's Swiss. I think he was probably Jewish, but he's a Swiss Jewish author. Wrote a lot about mental illness and, you know, anxiety and relationships. It seems like something that's totally up my alley. It kind of reminds me of the Grizzly Man cover, like the fur. There's some kind of connection going on here. I'm not sure where it is. But anyway, Hermann Hesse, if we got any Hermann Hesse scholars out there or fans, let me know in the comments. So we are getting to our last 5 or 6 books here. We got another one of the most mammoth novels in the history of European literature. Alexander Dumas' The Call of Monte Cristo. This is a beautiful Penguin Classics edition. I'm a huge fan of the movie from the 90s. I love this edition. It's gorgeous. It smells good. And yeah, the story of Count of Monte Cristo. I've never read the book, and I haven't seen the movie in years, but I feel like this should have just been in my collection along with War and Peace. These are gonna look so nice on the bookshelf. Just look at that. And I think we should commit ourselves to challenging, daunting literature. I think that's part of what it means to be a well-rounded person. You know, and you just start a novel and you don't fixate on when you're going to finish it. But you can get quite a lot of reading done. This would probably take me quite some time. I could maybe finish this in maybe 6 months if I just read it exclusively. You know, it just all depends on how the novel resonates with you and stuff like that. Up next we have Journey to the End of the Night by Celine. I was turned on to Celine by Charles Bukowski. He writes about a lot of esoteric, kind of nihilistic, kind of, you know, dirty, grubby type stuff, edge of life. I believe he's another French writer similar to Marcel Proust. Not that his writing is similar, but just another French author. Celine's masterpiece, political, polemic, and hyper-realistic, boils over with bitter humor and revulsion at society's idiocy and hypocrisy. So this definitely seems like something that's up my alley. And I wonder if that song by The Doors, End of the Night, has something to do with Celine. If we have any Celine scholars out there, please let me know. Up next, we have another huge mammoth book. Norman Mailer's The Executioner's Song. Norman Mailer, if you're not familiar with him, was sort of pioneered the genre of literary fiction. His books are based on true stories of people he collaborated with and met. But he sort of writes them as novels, which I find quite fascinating. There's a little picture of Norman Mailer there himself. He was a little bit of a wacko. I guess he tried to kill his girlfriend or something at some point. A little bit of a nutcase. But I'm definitely looking forward to The Executioner Song. Not sure when I'm going to really pick this up, but hopefully in the not too distant future I will. Like I said, we're going to stop buying books because, like, I think I'm good now for at least the next 5 years, honestly, maybe more. Up next, we have Species with Amnesia by Robert Seffer, Our Forgotten History. Robert Seffer's very controversial. He's definitely not a woke scholar, so just be open-minded to that. I feel like this was a good step in the right direction to get some alternative scholarship under my belt. Robert Sephora is a harsh critic of the out of Africa theory. Robert Sephora's research focuses on ancient religion, ancient mythology, ancient history, and he sort of debunks sort of the Darwinian theories and the out of Africa stuff. I'm not saying I agree with everything from Robert Sepper, but really cool. I think he should be, read at least. I don't think we should be censoring people's scholarship at all. Up next, we have another YouTube written book, Esoteric Hollywood by Jay Dyer. Sex, Symbolisms, and Cults in Films. I'm super excited to check this out. He's got the scene from the Stanley Kubrick movie, Eyes Wide Shut, in here. So this book focuses on sort of the esoteric, satanic symbology that we see in Hollywood. People think it's a conspiracy, but it looks like Jay Dyer has broken down this process pretty darn well. There's a picture of him here in the back. He kind of looks like Kurt Cobain in that picture. You guys should check out Jay's analysis if you haven't yet. Excuse me, on YouTube. Up lastly but not leastly, we have this beautiful hardcover edition of Green Hills of Africa by Ernest Hemingway. I'm not sure why I picked this one up. It just kind of spoke to me. I wanted to get some more Hemingway back in the collection. This is another beautiful hardcover edition, as you guys can see. It's got this beautiful sort of cover here with, it looks like it might have been at a library or something, but there's no library prints on it, which is great. This is Ernest Hemingway's sort of fictional slash memorable account of his hunting exploits in Africa. It's got these beautiful illustrations in here. Hemingway is super important. I'm not sure if he's my favorite writer anymore, but he once was, and I would like to, get back into Hemingway. I've got Farewell to Arms that I need to tackle again at some point. And I think that's it. I think we covered everything, guys. Thank you so much. Let me know if you guys enjoy these long book rants, these book reviews, literature reviews. I've really been having a great time reviewing books. You're going to see a lot more book, literature, reading, research content on this channel, so I hope you guys are up for that. We will be back to the body positive stuff as well. And like we said, stay tuned for my Titanic unboxing review with a very special guest. And we will see you guys next time. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at Andrew Marlowe Artist.